I'm leaving the Taj Mahal in the rain. That's Agra Fort. And food poisoning, round 2. Well, I've only got 200 kilometers to Delhi, so I'm going to push on. Taj Mahal's amazing, so amazing. Kilometers to go to Delhi, and I've got a puncture again. Number 5 of the whole trip. Swap out. I got in from Agra, Taj Mahal, after a short day, another short day. Basically I've got 3 days and 300 kilometers to get to Delhi when I've got my Airbnb booked, so I'm being a little slower than normal. I could have covered it in 2 days, but I wanted some time for the Taj Mahal, which was incredible, well worth being hassled and being swindled out of 300 rupees by a rickshaw driver for. And tomorrow I'll jump on this highway 19 and I will be in Delhi. It's been 2 weeks since I left Pondicherry. I've covered 3/4 of the entire country, or subcontinent really. It's unbelievably big, India. I'm sure someone could have told me that, but it's very different when you experience it yourself. But I've got a lot of illness this trip. I've been hit by some stomach bugs a couple of times, mainly from just ending up in weird hotels and having weird room service food that, you know, paneer, cottage cheese is not the best when it's not been cooked properly. But I've stuck to peanut butter and bread and Pizza Hut pizza today as well, and I seem to be feeling a bit better. But more than anything, I'm just tired. I think once I've spent more than a couple of weeks just cycling every single day and doing long days like 150k, it really gets to you, or really gets to me. So I'm looking forward to a break, fixing up the loose sprocket on the back of my bike. Hopefully going to go through a car wash tomorrow as well. See if I can clean some of the mud off it from the rain in Agra, and yeah, go into the mountains and into Nepal. It's a good start to the last day on the bike of this 2-week leg. Fog. I wonder if that's the beginning of Delhi smog. I'll get my bike lights out though for sure. Last time packing up my bike for a few weeks. Getting good at it now. Very contemplative the last 2 days. I saw Alex from Prestige World Ride on Instagram just before I got into Agra.
and he's been hit by a semi-truck in the States, and he's in hospital. Definitely not going to be back on a bike soon. And it really got to me, because for all the amazing benefits you get from cycling, when you're on the bike for 10 hours a day, you're just rolling that dice again and again. And despite how safe you ride, if there's a truck driver that doesn't see you, or for whatever reason hits you, there's nothing you can do at that point. That's just the dice you roll again and again. But yeah, my thoughts go out to Alex and his quick
First thing I do when I get to a new Airbnb, order some Swiggy. Yes, masala dosa. I've arrived. I'm in Delhi after my longest Indian leg, full 1400 kilometers across. From Pondicherry right down on the southeast coast, through Telangana, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh to New Delhi state. I'm feeling pretty good and comfortable in the bike and in travel, and I had some amazing time, especially in the center of India. I've had real struggles camping a lot of places, but for some reason in the center of India there's a lot of beautiful forests, and I spent some amazing time camping out in the forest there. I also had a few more stomach bugs, which I got used to, and just had a few more nights in the hotel. But I was making about 150 kilometers a day on average, meeting lots of people. I got to see the Taj Mahal for the first time. But I wanted to show you how I plan my routes, or how I've planned my routes so far. So I'm sharing my screen on the laptop and on the phone. When I start out on a route, I tend to look at Google Maps just to see areas of interest that I've starred, that friends have sent me, or the overall route plan of where I want to go. So even after a few months on the road, I've got so many little starbs of places I want to go. From Turkey and Europe, where I was last year, to this whole leg in India. Then I use this amazing German app called Komoot, which has a route planner that uses OpenStreetMap. So you can plan a route. Let me show you some of the routes I've already planned. And then you can download it on the phone. And you can download it and save it offline. So for example, Delhi, Goa to Bangalore. This is the route that I did at the beginning. And you can just put in placeholders and either export it to a Garmin, or you can take the app. Here we go. So you plan, I've just put in places I wanted to see. So Kochi, Munnar, tea stations, and the top station, and then Bangalore, and it plans exactly where you want to go. And then on the app, you go into your profile, planned, and then from here you can see the same routes that I showed you there. So go to Bangalore, and you can see that I've checked this box for, oh I haven't here, but you can check the box store for offline use. and it will download all the maps and give you turn-by-turn directions as well offline, which is very good. The only thing I'd say is that in India, I used Komoot on the first leg from Mumbai down to Goa, and it took me along this main highway and some nice little detours which were good for shortening the distance. But what I found, especially once I left the main highways, is that the back roads were taking me through these small villages, and whereas in Europe the villages were quite quiet, and the back roads that Komoot took me down were nice and quiet and would have great places to camp, and there was enough supermarkets in the small villages that I went through to buy food. In India, as soon as I went off the main highways, there was hundreds and hundreds of villages where I was massively mobbed every time I stopped, and the restaurants disappeared and the bigger stores disappeared, and all there were small kind of sweet shops, and so I struggled to find food. So from Bangalore on to Pondicherry and even this main leg, I actually used Google Maps because it took me down the major highways, and the road surface has been good on back roads and highways, to be honest, but the highways are smoother in most cases, apart from some that are being done up, but mainly they just have much more restaurants, bigger stores, or just places where truck stops where you can get lunch. And in India, I haven't used my stove more than twice to boil water and to cook once. Instead, I just buy food everywhere and then have peanut butter and toast or peanut butter and bread for breakfast. So Komoot I would suggest trying and using for route planning, but mainly in Europe and other countries. In India, I would recommend just using Google Maps when you know where you're going. In terms of areas that I would totally recommend from the distance I've cycled so far, the coasts were or the west coast was crazy busy. I know there's a common route from the southernmost tip up to Mumbai or this west coast. I would say there's some great places to go here. Kerala is amazing, so incredibly beautiful, and Kochi is beautiful. The food there is amazing. Dosa is from southern India, and that's my favourite food so far. But the coastal highway and just the coast in general is incredibly overpopulated, or just incredibly populated. If you can get off into any of these areas, these green areas, I went into Munnar, which is one of the most famous spots, and there it is. Oh no, Kochi, there it is. Munnar, suddenly you're in the forests and there's places to camp, beautiful scenery, a lot less traffic, apart from monkey traffic. The same with the Tamil Nadu. I found the sort of restaurants dropped away for me, and there was mainly only sweet shops, which is good for a day, but after a while you need a lot more than just sweets. Whereas actually, so surprisingly, on the highway up from Chennai all the way to Delhi, right through the centre of India, it's places, regions that I'd not even heard of before I got to India, like Telangana, regions that just don't come up normally for tourists. But the scenery was beautiful, and it was very flat. The highways were brilliant, the food was great, the people were great, and I actually spent so many nights under the stars in Telangana, in eastern Maharashtra, in Madhya Pradesh, that I would totally suggest that if you're crossing India, just get out there in the middle of the country, even just taking the highways. But the traffic's not even too bad in a lot of places. In Agra, it's crazy, the tourism is unbelievable. I got scammed out of 300 rupees for a rickshaw, and there's so many people there, a lot of poverty, as there is in the rest of the country, but it seems to be concentrated there, a lot of begging and that kind of thing. But the Taj Mahal is just unbelievable. It's well worth visiting. I can see why it's such a popular place to go. Everywhere in the north, once I kind of crossed the border into Uttar Pradesh, it got a lot more busy, a lot more populated, so I had to stay in hotels all up in here. And even though this is my route planning video, I've not yet gone into Himachal Pradesh, and northern India, or even a lot of eastern India. India is an unbelievably big country, and I've got another month or more still to travel here, so I'll update in later videos with recommendations for that. But in terms of more general route planning in India, just don't take no for an answer. It's very, very possible to cycle around India.
and while it's hard work, you have to put up with a lot of attention, and you have to make sure you take enough supplies with you, and be prepared to get hotels when you need. Go for it. It's a beautiful, beautiful country.